You may have noticed a ton of buzz around this word non-duality these days, but I feel like there's this less talked cousin in this family of spiritual practices called non-dual tantric meditation. It's kind of like finding a hidden garden in a really busy urban city. It's like this really incredibly serene oasis right in the middle of all of that hustle and bustle that most people don't even notice is there. Well, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to explore what sets this form of meditation apart from the more familiar non-dual practices. So make yourself comfortable and let's uncover this hidden gem together. Hey there, yogis and yoginis. I'm Lisa Engles and welcome to my channel where I help spiritual seekers just like you to harness the ancient wisdom of yoga to live an extraordinary life. So the goal of this channel is super simple, just to make it easier than ever before for anyone to find happiness and fulfillment in their everyday life by using wisdom that's already been passed down for millennia. So before we dive in, do be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I post new videos just like this one on a regular basis. Okay, so let's get into this whole topic of non-duality. What is it? Well, think of it this way. Most of the time we see our life as a series of situations. It's good, it's bad, I'm here, you're there. This is the default view of reality. It's how most of us perceive and experience most things most of the time. But non-duality is an entirely different way of seeing things. It's like realizing that these opposites are actually two sides of the same coin. So in the non-dual view, everything is seen as one infinite consciousness, which manifests as this very rich tapestry of diverse subjects and objects, experiences and perceptions. Now, in non-dual tantric meditation, our goal is to understand this view not conceptually, but as a direct experience. So this is where I feel like things get really interesting, because non-dual tantric meditation isn't about relaxation and mindfulness, but those are definitely byproducts of the practice. And it's also not about transcending the world and our desires, which was really common back in the 60s and 70s with the transcendental meditation movement. Instead, it's about diving deep into the very fabric of reality and embracing every single bit of it, your thoughts, your feelings, the world around you, and seeing how it's all connected. Again, not as a concept or an idea, but as a direct experience. So I think that that's pretty amazing. So let's look at where all of this comes from. We want to go back in time for a little tour of history, just a really, really short one. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the roots of Tantra. Now, back in the day, when I say that, I mean like over 1,000 years ago, spiritual practices were exclusively reserved for mostly the Brahmin class. But then came the Tantric movement, which was a game changer that opened up spirituality to everyone. And this was really huge because it went against the grain. It was challenging the status quo. The Tantrikas said, hey, these practices aren't just for the elite. They're not just for the monks. They're for everyone, especially the everyday person, especially for the householder. So this was a very radical idea, especially because they also argued that the traditional monastic practices weren't really cut out for those who were living the householder life. So the Tantrikas created a path that was inclusive, it was accessible, it was practical for everyone, regardless of their social standing or their gender. And the times that they were living in were actually not too different from our own. There was a lot of social upheaval, there were wars, there were deep inequalities due to the caste system. There was a lot of existential threat. So in this turbulent backdrop, the Tantric philosophy became this beacon of hope. It promised fulfillment and happiness amidst all of life's challenges. It was about finding inner peace and awakening right in the middle of the chaos of everyday life. So this inclusive and revolutionary spirit of Tantra is what makes non-dual tantric meditation so relevant even today. So we're going to dive into the core principles of this type of meditation and how it applies to our life. So let's talk a little bit about the two main goals of non-dual tantric meditation, which are liberation and awakening. So let's look at liberation really quick. This doesn't mean freeing ourselves from the outside world. It's really about liberating ourselves from the inside, so to speak. It's about shedding the stories, the mental constructs that cloud your true nature, the ones that cause mind-created suffering. And then there's awakening, and this is a big one, awakening to your true nature, being able to answer this profound question, who am I? Beyond concepts, beyond beliefs, but as a deeply felt experience. So we can talk about it in two different types of practices, Shiva practices and Shakti practices. And the Shiva practices are for awakening, and the Shakti practices are for liberation. So I'm not going to dive into those here right now, but every Thursday I am hosting a free live streamed class right here on YouTube where we can explore these practices and these principles in detail. So make sure that you do subscribe to my channel and join. Okay, so awakening practices, they're about reorienting ourselves. For most of our lives, we believe the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are. And this is what the ego is. It's a story. It's a concept of who we think we are. So awakening practices are like this journey back home to our true self. Now, the liberation practices are about dissolving those constructed stories that we tell ourselves, the ones that obscure our true nature. And we do this through several very potent types of practices that include breath work or pranayama, subtle energy body work, especially with the central channel and the chakras and the bindus. Work with sound in the form of mantra, which we might recite aloud and also silently, and also visualization. So these different types of meditation practices in their own way, what they do is they help us to shed those layers of our constructed self and bring us closer to that liberation. So it's this journey of basically recognition, unraveling, discovering, and recognizing our true nature. So now let's look at what happens when you actually stick to these non-dual tantric meditations over time, because it's not a quick fix. It's really more like this slow, rewarding journey that begins to unfold. So the journey of non-dual tantric meditation is like the life of a lotus flower. The lotus is a very powerful symbol in Tantra, and it starts with the lotus flower starts deep in the mud, and then it slowly works itself upward, right? And then it emerges above the muck, above the water. And this is much like the transformative process that we undergo with consistent meditation practice. In the beginning, it's like being in the mud, right? You're working through these dense layers of your constructed self, the stories and the karmic patterns that obscure the path. But with focused and consistent practice that includes all of the things that I just mentioned, that I just talked about, the direct experience, the pranayama, working with the subtle energy body, mantras, visualization, all of it. It's like you use those practices to slowly move you upward through those murky waters. And over time, with dedication and patience, you begin to rise above the mud and rest on top of the water. And what happens is you start noticing a shift in your perception, which might be subtle at first, but then it becomes more profound as a paradigm shift starts to happen. And when that happens, we experience all aspects of life as an expression of the one consciousness. So the way I've heard it said before is you come to realize as a direct experience that everything is what you are, appearing as that. So this is the moment of full bloom. This is where you emerge above the surface and you rest in what's referred to as awakened awareness. You're aware that what you are is timeless and borderless awareness that has contracted into this unique body mind in this lifetime. And this unique body mind is literally a sense organ. It's a vehicle through which and in which this timeless awareness experiences, expresses, and explores itself. This timeless awareness, which you are, is open, it's clear, it's spacious, it's unperturbed, it's radically alive and vibrant. So this is the journey that awaits you in non-dual tantric meditation. It's the path of awakening and liberation that culminates in the recognition of the true nature of yourself and reality, which is experienced as unbounded freedom and fulfillment and ease and flow. And I'm here to guide you through each stage of this journey. So I do hope you join me in my weekly live streams right here on Thursdays for ongoing support and guidance and deepening in this journey. So be sure once again to subscribe to my channel. Click the notification icon if you haven't already so that you get reminders of when I'm teaching. And I do hope to see you there. Take care. Be well.